and welcome to the Woman's Cave, or the Writer's Class. We're gonna go with the Writer's Class today because we have an awesome writer. She's an author. I don't know. Like when I said writer, I assumed you guessed she was an author. Never mind. I'm just babbling now because there is no Jade, and I do not feel like being humorous. I have been out all day and I am tired, and there's food to cook, and I'm just exhausted, and I have on the lipstick, so I look like fugly ugly today. Not just regular ugly, fugly ugly. Anyway, moving on from that all completely, we wrote books, and I say we, I mean me and Jade, and we're coming out. We actually just finished our new book yesterday. And then I made an audio file of the book yesterday. I read the entire book as an audio book. Ooh, it took forever. It took a couple of hours, but I got it all done. Not important. What is important are the titles of these books. It's And I Thought Divorce Was Bad, and I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy. If Only I Were Me, a memoir in verse, Widow's Web, Widow's Debt, and Foreign Coffee. That's 6 books, y'all, that are available as audiobooks. You can see the rest of the 11. And yes, if you're like, 11 and 6, what does that equal? It's 17 books we've written. Excuse me, my non-lunch apparently has something to say. Okay, yep, it's finished talking. It's 17 books. You can read about our 17 books at www.andithoughtLadies.com. Yes, I have to say it like I'm selling cars. Anyway, you're not here to hear about me. You're here to hear about our wonderful guest. Wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Oksana Marfioti, and I am a writer and an author. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe somebody else can tell me. Some days I feel like an author, some days I feel like a writer, but I am also a professor at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I also run a creative writing studio that's completely virtual right now called Lounge Writers. I edit books professionally as a freelancer, and I'm really excited about this. So that's all I have.
She's excited. We're not great. We tried. I keep saying we, and it's just me today. I'm so sorry. I'm so used to having my co-host. It feels weird. Not important. I want to know, I should start off with like, what are your book titles and things like that? We should get to that first, but it's me. So I'm going to start off with the question I want to start with. How does it feel to be molding the minds of the next authors?
Oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. Now you're giving me all this power. I don't know, like I'm thinking creativity is the collaborative effort, you know, like I've been a musician, I've worked in a film industry, and in all of these creative fields, we are part of like a collective in some way. So I feel like if I'm helping other writers get to where they want to go on their journey, I am also growing in the process, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like necessarily like I'm always the teacher. In fact, I've learned the most I could have ever learned about writing through editing, just for example, just reading other people's books and looking at their ideas and kind of absorbing some of what they have to say. So it's pretty cool.
So like editing no, you just answered that question. So I'm going to skip right over that. We're going to go back to the question I'm supposed to ask at the beginning of the show, which is, can you tell us a bit about your books?
Yes. So I have, I'm a memoirist by, I guess, writing trade. And my book the primary book is called American Gypsy, a memoir. And it was published in 2012 by FSG, which is a Macmillan, part of the Macmillan publishing house. And it's a memoir about growing up in the former Soviet Union. I'm not sure how many people even know what that is anymore or remember what that was at some point. Just moving here to America in 1990s and like the immigrant journey of a teenager who suddenly has to like experience culture clash and learning the language and going through her parents' divorce. So it's kind of like a coming of age story that probably is relatable to all of us who have gone through teenage angst years. But it's also kind of different because there's like this immigrant element as well.
In the 90s. Wow.
Yeah, I know. 1990, 91. We are dinosaurs. That's what my youngest son says. He's like, you're You're old. You're very old.
Oh, I believe they're the people that still remember phones that hang on the wall, cell phones that were in the car, cell phones that went this small, but that small, and then the small phones that became like, tablets that you had on your head.
I remember all of those things. Okay, so I don't know. They were not all that bad.
They weren't?
I don't think so. I think they were like kind of like, I'm nostalgic about that stuff now. I just saw actually a payphone in the streets in Las Vegas that was missing the handle, but it was still standing in the corner. And I was out with my friend and he said, look, there's a payphone. But like it was like this wondrous
I
thing.
remember this one time, I was really young. Well, not really young. I was kind of young. And I got lost. And I left my cell phone home. And there was a payphone at a gas station. And I called my friend. And now I drive by that and I'm always like, there was a payphone here. And I was so lost. And there's no payphone there anymore. I kind of miss them some days.
That's funny. Me too. I was actually out with my youngest again. We were in an antique shop and they had one of those rotary phones, like that you have to dial. And he was 5 or something. And he's looking at it. He's like, what is that? I said, oh, it's a phone. You need to, and he wanted to use it. And he kept pushing on it, right? And I said, no, you need to put your finger in the hole, right? And he got really frustrated and loud because he's like, he put it in the hole and then he kept pushing. He's like, I don't know how to do it. What's going on? It's like all the people just looking at him laughing. I felt so bad. Like he was really frustrated. It just didn't register.
So there was this lady, I think she was 90 some years old when I was younger. And that's the only phone she had in the house. So when you wanted to call someone and you're like, because you're too young to have a cell phone. So you're sitting there like, what happens if I have to dial 911? So you would have to start like 9. I'm like, when you called long distance, do you remember long distance?
Yeah.
Or the talking minutes. Like everyone called for after 9.
Yep. I remember all of it. It's just so crazy, but I was editing somebody's book actually recently, and she had, so the book was set now, and her protagonist was this young woman, but the writer was much older, and she kept putting in details that don't belong in today's world, so like the phones were one of them. And I kept making these notes and I said, you have to like modernize. This is not set in 2020. Like this is set in like 20 years ago or even further back.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Did they have phone calls? Because no one does that anymore, unless it's an emergency. You're like, what are you, psycho? You're calling me.
I'm actually really afraid of picking up my phone now. I don't know what it is. There's like this phobia when I see it and I'm like, just text me something.
If you wanted to you would have text. But like, if you're not texting, obviously you're calling because you want to sell me something.
Yeah. This is funny. Our conversation is about phones.
I know. I feel terrible. Okay. We are going to go back to talking about, so you have a writer's lounge. Can you tell us a little bit about how that got started?
So it's called Lounge Writers, I think. Yeah. And it was just something that I started here in Las Vegas because we don't have, other big cities have like writer hubs where writers of all levels and stages and ages and genres can come together and like take some classes and things like that. And Vegas didn't have anything like that. So I felt like, okay, well, this is something I can provide. So I started kind of putting some classes on Eventbrite and websites like that. And people were coming. And once COVID hit, all of us kind of went virtual, and I did as well. And I kind of felt nervous about it at first, but then I realized that it was so incredible because I was able to invite writers to teach from all over the world, literally, so incredible authors, publicists, editors that I could not have been able to call in to come to Vegas to teach, because money is involved and all of that. I was able to invite and teach incredible classes, and students too. We have students who tune in from all over the world. And if they can't, we provide recordings. And so all of a sudden, like there's this reach, to all over the place. Whereas when we started, it was just like this tiny thing. We're just doing some local classes. So it's a pretty incredible journey.
It is nice. I love how everyone's been talking about like, oh my goodness, my reach like expanded once we went virtual. And I was like, it's really funny to me. It's because we started off virtual. Our reach has centralized to being local, which has been hilarious to me because I missed everything that happened down the street. Like what was on my calendar was like for the UK and
oh my God,
New York and LA and Florida and Nebraska. And then like once like everything went hybrid, everything went virtual, I was like, so 15 minutes up the street. What's up? What y'all doing?
I still do that actually. I've become a lot more of a domestic kind of sleuth, like what you're just saying, like looking for things that I can do close by. Like I used to travel all over the world, mostly in Europe because I do some activist work as well. And I speak at different conferences. So that was kind of part of my reality before COVID. And when everything closed down, I literally actually was supposed to be in Germany teaching at a university for 6 months because I received this award from University of Leipzig right as COVID hit and everything, travel shut down, right? So suddenly I was like, oh my gosh, this is really crazy that I can't do what I normally do. But in a way, there's always the good and the bad to every situation. Like if you keep your mind open, right? So I feel like being more local and appreciating where I am now, I needed that because my mind was always outside of Las Vegas. I was always, okay, in 6 months, I'm going to be in Prague and then I'm going to be, in Florence and whatever, but now I'm like you, I'm looking for things to do down the road. And like, I just went downtown with my boyfriend on the weekend and we just did like a whole day of downtown. Like normally
that's so fun.
That wouldn't be the thing. And people that were like, there were like outside like parties and food and singers, because of the holidays and everything. So I would have probably have never even found that if my mind hasn't changed,
Right? Because you just think like, oh, it's home. Yay. Home. Like now it's like, oh, things happen here. Imagine that. Okay, can you tell us about where we can find out more information about you, about the Writers Lounge, and where we can buy that book?
Yes, absolutely. So American Gypsy memoir, you can find it anywhere, any bookstore online, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, wherever you shop, indie bookstores. The Lounge Writers is at loungewriters.com, and the website has the classes and all of our instructors' bios, so you can kind of like check out the people who have taught with us before, and a lot of them come back to teach other classes as well. Although around the holidays we kind of slow down, so usually December and January I only offer a few classes just to keep things going because I know everybody's busy getting ready to eat a lot. So the mind is not on like creative pursuits and writing books. We're in a different stage, right? Information about me, Oksana-Marafioti.com. There's a lot of info there on what I do as an editor, as a writer. There are links to magazine articles, to videos, all kinds of stuff. And I'm also on all social media under my name, so I'm pretty easy to find.
Thank you so much for coming to visit us today. It has been such a wonderful walk down memory lane.
I don't know where that came from.
Right, and informative because we learned about editing and about the Writers Lounge. So you guys can check out everything that your ladies are doing at www.andithoughladies.com. While you're there, go down to the bottom of the page and you can see the charities that we proudly support. Maybe that you can spend a little time and help them out as well. And we thank you in advance for that. Remember that wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona and the Missing Jade.